Most cold emails suck. Know why? They're bland, lazy, and 100% forgettable. In this video, I'll show you how we use AI to write hyper-personalized and relevant cold emails that actually get clients. Plus, you'll learn how we personalize every cold email, how we write cold emails, how we research leads, and how we clean our data using AI without lifting a finger. For this video, I'm going to be handing it over to my business partner, Felipe, to go ahead and dive in with some actionable insights.
Thanks for the introduction, as always, and in today's video, we're talking about the best AI automations of 2025. And to start off, I would like to actually talk about the recommended tech stack. This is a question that we often receive from you guys, which is, which automation should I be using in order to leverage AI? And if you're thinking in between n8n, Make, Zapier, or Clay, I will actually help you think through which one would be probably best for your specific company or your specific needs if you're launching multiple different automations. So let's actually talk about this. First, let's talk about what each of these do, and then I'll help you think about them. And as I show you the automations in this video, I'll recommend you one specific for that specific automation. So starting with n8n. n8n is a fantastic platform for running large amounts of data. We always use n8n whenever we need to run more than 10,000 pieces of data at a time through an automation. So think of it like lead generation, think of it like cleaning data lists and so forth, right? Whenever you are processing large amounts of data, n8n will scale more beautifully. Why do I say that? Because n8n actually allows you to self-deploy their tool on your own server. What that means is you could rent a computer or a server. We use Vultr for that. And then you could deploy n8n in your machine. We use Ubuntu as the operating system, and we deploy n8n. When we do that, we don't need to pay at all per run or per action that is happening in our automation. All we pay for is the server, and all it costs us is around 50 USD per month. So it is very cheap considering the amount of data that we run through this tool. We sometimes run millions of records a week inside this tool when we're doing lead generation, and all we're paying for is the 50 USD from the server itself. When it comes to the automation tech stack, by the way, if you're talking about the API endpoints, yes, we do pay more for that, but that's a different story, and you're going to understand more about that in a second. If I confused you already, don't worry. This was actually intentional. I'm being very technical when I'm breaking down n8n for those of you who already know what it means. But in a second, I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like and why I would recommend n8n in those specific cases, okay? So think of n8n like your mass data processing automation. Whenever you have large amounts of data that you want to process through no code or low code, think n8n. The next tool is one of our favorites, and we are actually Clay certified partners, and I already reviewed it. It's Clay. Clay is a spreadsheet on steroids, as I like to call it, because it allows you to take every single column of the spreadsheet and turn it into a tool or an action. And so Clay is our absolute favorite when it comes to testing new ideas and deploying ideas very fast. For example, if I want to do personalized lines for a specific list, Clay is my best friend because I can test and test prompting and test different settings and different scenarios all very quickly and deploy very quickly into my cold email sending tool. So think of Clay like your best help when you want to launch things fast, okay? And if you want everything to be extremely efficient. The only downside to Clay may be, and I'll say maybe because in some cases that is not a downside, but it may be cost, okay? You will be paying per credit, but there are ways that you can set it up so you don't spend too much on credits and you use more API calls if you already own tools that you want to use in your automation. Again, this is extremely high level. If I'm losing you, please still stick to this. You're going to understand it much clearly soon. But that is Clay. Think of Clay again as launching fast, but the only downside may be cost. The next one is Make. Make is an extremely stable automation platform that allows you to launch automations fast as well, not as fast as Clay, but also fast. And you don't have to worry as much about troubleshooting. Things will not get disconnected. It's not a platform that I recommend if you're running code because you have to use other platforms to write code in. Just again, if you're very technical, you'd have to connect it to Amazon Lambda. So it gets a little bit annoying when it comes to running code on Make. So I recommend n8n instead if you're doing that. But Make is a very good tool for very stable automations that you want to run repeatedly. So the best way I can exemplify this is if you want to run script writing flows with AI, then I would use Make. And pricing It is pretty good, not as good as an ADEN if you're running bulk data, but it is pretty good. And pretty much what I would be doing if I were to consider these three is, am I testing this for the first time? Clay. Have I already used it for a while and I'm not going to have that much need on it, but I want it to be stable and I want it to go to production and I don't want people in my Clay tables? Make. Now, am I going to scale this to the moon and run insanely large amounts of data? And ADEN. Okay? And now that brings us to the last one, which is Zapier. Zapier is the enterprise favorite because it's the most stable platform out of all. It breaks the least, it's the easiest to troubleshoot, and it's the easiest to delegate to someone else in your company. And so Zapier is the absolute best when it comes to all of this. The only and by the way, it's very user-friendly, but the only downside to Zapier is that the cost doesn't scale as beautifully as any of these other platforms. They'll charge you a lot more per action, not even per run, per action. And so that might make it invalid for you to be considering. So I wanted to break down the difference between all of these. I hope it's helpful already. Now let's jump into the actual AI automations that we are using in 2025 that are helping us a lot.
Quick interruption to your video. If you want help growing your B2B lead generation agency, or you have some type of other agency and want to use the same systems we use in our cold emails, go ahead and check out the description. You'll find a link to Grow B2B. There, we're sharing all the methods we use to grow our agency to over $1.7 million in revenue. So make sure to check that out, watch some information on what we do, and book a call to learn how we can help. All right, back to your video with Felipe.
The first one is going to be, of course, a personalized lines creation automation. This is an automation that's going to create icebreakers or overall personalized lines for us to plug into our cold email scripts. So think of it like removing all of those generic emails that most cold email companies or overall cold emailers send, and instead sending something that is relevant, feels like it was well researched, and that is more likely to get someone to reply. And our recommended tech stack for this is still Clay. Clay is the best tool for this, and the reason for that is because we like to adapt very quickly. The way that we create these personalized lines, we like to test different prompts, different AIs. Sometimes and this is my next recommendation, we use ChatGPT 4o. Sometimes we use Anthropic Claude. Sometimes we're going to use Perplexity. Sometimes we're going to use other AI engines. And so Clay is the best platform because it allows you to easily swap these, implement it, and get the final result. So that is a recommended tech stack for personalized lines creation. Even so that I put here a screenshot of our live automation that does this. This is actually a template that we shared in a webinar this week, which, by the way, if you want to know more about that, check out the link down in the description of this video. We might have one coming up next. If not, not a big deal. But anyways, this is our personalized line creation creator automation on Clay, and it looks like this. And what it does is pretty much a multi-step personalized line creation. And in this one specifically, we're using only ChatGPT 4o. And what it does is it looks for multiple data sources to find something that could be personalized line worthy. Then it judges what are the best pieces of data from that. And then it writes multiple personalized lines. And then it chooses the best one to add to our campaign based on our script, offer, and the actual prospect that we're reaching out to. So this is a fantastic automation. I'm not going to show you in this video how it works step by step, because if you want that, please drop a comment down below and we'd be happy to record a video just showing you how this entire thing works and breaking down every single one of the prompts, breaking down every single part of this automation. So yeah, let us know. But a few notes when it comes to personalized line creation. You will want to keep in mind that your output is only going to be as good as the input that you give it. So one issue that I see a lot of companies go through is that they get data out of LinkedIn and ask AI to create personalized lines for them. And those actually suck, because what kind of data are you getting out of LinkedIn? Perhaps the location of the person, perhaps their experience, perhaps their endorsements, but none of those actually make fantastic personalized lines that are relevant to your offer in most cases. And therefore, I would recommend that instead, you try to get more sources of data to then get a better input, to then give AI a best chance of writing a very good personalized line. So that is a note. Now, one other note is that it is better to not add any personalization than to add a bad one. So always, when you're setting up these AI systems, use a fallback line that a system can use if it doesn't think that any of the personalized lines that it generated were actually good. Okay, I hope this is helpful. And this is our first automation that is definitely going to be a game changer in 2025. We've actually been using this since 2024. and it's definitely helped a lot with our reply rates. So let's get into the next one. Now, talking about still on content of cold emails, script writing and spin syntaxing. This is a fantastic automation. We use this every single day, multiple times a day. And I'll give you a few scenarios where this is helpful, and then I'm going to tell you the recommended tech stack. Scenario number one is drafting an initial cold email script based on the strategy approved by the client. This is in our case as a cold email agency. Whenever we want to generate scripts for the clients, we don't just go in and write them from scratch. We actually have our own AI that was trained with previous scripts that we wrote, and it was fine-tuned to the type of scripts that we like, and then it takes the strategy call transcript and the strategy document that we created for the strategy call, and it then writes all of the scripts. From there, all we do is just a quick human check, and we send it to the client for approval, and then we're ready to launch. For you, if you're running cold emails yourself or for your company, this would be drafting all of the scripts for you based either on the prospects that you have on your list or based out on a prompt that you give about the audience that you want to reach out to, and then writes one big generic script with placeholders for personalized lines. This will, by the way, increase your reply rates a lot. Now, another scenario is going to be spin syntaxing all of the emails. Spin syntaxing, for those of you who don't know, is just adding a little bit of code to variate the words that you have in your cold email. So, for example, I'll give you actually a live example right here. It could be saying, this is the classic, hey, hi, hello, right? So if you use this in a tool such as Smartlead or Instantly AI, it will then choose one of these three words every time it sends an email to make every email that you send out look unique. And the benefit of that is that your copy doesn't get fingerprinted by email service providers. What that means is that your copy is more likely to not get flagged when you're running these campaigns longer term, okay? So great thing. Recommend that you add this to every single one of your emails. By the way, recommendation cold email overall, you need to have one piece of spin syntax per paragraph as the bare minimum. And so you can use AI to generate a spin syntax for you. If you want to know the prompts and you want to know more about this, we actually recorded a video showing you exactly how we do this in the channel. The link is going to be down below. Okay? And the next one is, of course, grammar checking everything before the email is launched and rewriting flagged cold email scripts. So for example, let's say you launched a cold email campaign and you're noticing that it started performing well, but then it started dying off. It might be because either your accounts are destroyed or that your script got flagged. And if that is the case, we have AI rewrite these scripts, generate new variations that we can then send to the client for approval and launch. Recommended tech stack for this is going to be Make and ChatGPT 4o. Remember that I told you that Make was a very stable platform and it was very good for multi-step setups that are ready to go to production? Well, this is the case. So this is one of our automations. This is our spin syntaxing automation. It pretty much receives a webhook from our front end, which for us in our company is Airtable. It will then confirm what the AI needs to do from Airtable. It will get the Google Doc that we originally had with the script. It will break down every single script into different pieces and we'll iterate through each of them one by one. Then it's going to do a 3-step process. Step 1 is generate all of the spin syntax. Step 2 is judge all of the spin syntaxes as good or bad. Step 3 is keeping only the good spin syntaxes. And step 4, it just sends it back to the Google Doc, and we're ready to deploy this script on our cold email campaigns. So this is how we use a script writing bot or spin syntaxing bot to help you get better and more successful cold email campaigns. Let's get to the next one. Data cleanup. This is the one that we use the absolute most when it comes to quantity. And for this, there are a few things that you can accomplish with it. Number one, ICP checking. One of the number one issues that we see nowadays with companies' data is that they have a bunch of irrelevant data. And for example, they will be reaching out to companies that no longer exist, where the website doesn't load, that don't have MX records installed, meaning they cannot receive emails, and that are no longer in the market for whatever you're trying to pitch them. And on a people side of things, the person no longer works at a company or is retired or is not the right job title, etc. So there's a bunch of irrelevant data that you get from databases out there. And so you need an automation that ICP checks everything. Why? Because it's the easiest way to double lead rate in cold email, hands down. And so we use an automation to do that. The other thing that we do with this automation is clean all of this data. Recommended tech stack to do this is going to be N8N. Again, we want to run hundreds of thousands of rows every single week, if not even millions of rows every single week. And so we want a platform that allows us to scale beautifully without adding too much cost. And so we use N8N, self-deployed, Again, the server that we use is Vultr. The operating system that we use is Ubuntu. And then we just install n8n through the Docker, right? If this flew right above your head, don't worry about it. You can comment down below. We could record a video on how we self-deploy n8n to take advantage of this cost savings, okay? But n8n is going to be the backend. Then we use ChatGPT 4o, which that one, if you don't know about, is just a very strong AI engine. Then Gene AI, which in our opinion is one of the best tools to get website markdowns for you. And so the way that we use it is we use Gene AI to go into every single website of every single prospect, judge if the website is still live, judge the content of the website, and check if it is within our ICP. So that is what we use Gene AI for. And Lead Magic is what we use as our engine to get data from people. So Lead Magic opens LinkedIn profiles, extracts all of the data, and then we judge the position title, we judge their experience, and we judge if they're the right person to contact within that company. And this is how we get fantastic data in our Codimo campaigns. One extra step that we do here is data cleaning, which is just every single output that comes out of this automation gets cleaned before it gets put back into the Google Sheet. Now, this is one example of the automation. This is our ICP checker base. This is an automation that has 3 different steps. This is just a base, so you're only seeing the thing that triggers this automation. I'm not going to explain this, but if you're curious to see how this works in n8n, let me know, and I'd be happy to record another video showing you exactly how this works. Let's get into our next one. The next one is going to be a lead researcher, which you can use prior to sales calls. So you show up on a call already displaying a lot of competency because you already did your research on this company. So you can already mention podcasts that you've heard about them, whilst you actually just use this AI to tell you what they said on the podcast. You could mention about news about this company. You could mention about a whole variety of things that you can get from this AI. So that you look, again, more competent on a sales call and you increase your chances of closing this client. The next one is an appointment setting. So an appointment setting would be as soon as someone has replied to you from your Codimo campaigns, and now you want to reply back showing competency. And so again, the lead researcher will come into play and will help you a lot. The recommended tech stack for this one, because we're not going to run that much volume on it, is going to be Make, because again, it's a very stable platform. And we're going to use Perplexity as the AI engine, because it is fantastic at researching socials overall, like Reddit, like YouTube, etc. And it's very good at doing overall research on websites and etc. So it's a fantastic tool. Strongly recommend that you stick to this combo right here for the lead researcher. Next one is Lookalike Lead Gen. Lookalike is the idea that you can plug in a website on an AI and it will find companies that are very similar to this website. What's the benefit of that? Simple. If you have a fantastic case study in the healthcare industry and they do X, Y, and Z service, okay? What you can do is you can plug this into a tool called Panda Match, and Panda Match will match that to other domains that are also in healthcare that sell the X, Y, and Z service that you were looking for. And now what you can do in your Codimo campaigns is reach out to all of these companies mentioning your previous case study. And if you didn't see the value in this yet, well, give this a try. You're going to see how much better it performs than your regular script. It works really well. And it makes it so good that you can even skip the personalization that we talked about in automation number 1, because the segmentation is so strong and this is so relevant. So strongly recommend that you check this out. This time, you don't need any backend. This tool does everything for you. It does with AI, so that's why we wanted to list it here, and we use Panda Match a lot, so recommend it. Next one. Campaign management AI agents. Now we're getting advanced and getting pretty cool. So we use this to change warm-up settings, number 1. So what that means is when we are running Codimo campaigns, we always want to make sure that we are rotating the warm-up settings so we don't get fingerprinted. Remember I talked about fingerprinting on script writing? That's exactly what we're trying to accomplish here. We don't want to get fingerprinted, and therefore we change our warm-up settings often, and we change them to match the reply rates that we get in the campaign so that we can get more replies from the warm-up, make our accounts look more legit, and overall get a better reputation and not burn our Codimo accounts. If this flew right above your head, I strongly recommend that you check out the video link down below on how to use Instantly AI and Smartlead AI, where I break this down in a lot of detail. So that is one of the automations that we use. We don't do that manually. We just use one AI agent. I'll actually skip these 2 other points and I'll tell you the recommended tech stack because it's going to be relevant. The recommended tech stack is going to be n8n because n8n has fantastic AI agents, and we connect ChatGPT 4o as the AI engine on n8n. So that is the combo that we recommend. And Then finally, where we're changing this is going to be an Instantly AI or Smartlead AI. We use both of these tools for all of our clients. So that is a recommendation on that. And if you want to see how they work, there's going to be a video down below that you can check out on how this works. Now, next thing that we do with AI agents is retrieve all of the data reports from these sending tools, from Instantly AI and Smartlead AI, send it to our team, and sometimes send it to our clients with data from live campaigns. Hey, for example, this campaign is performing with X, Y, and Z reply rate. The best source of these replies is going to be email 1A, and the second best source is going to be email 2C. And so now we know exactly how to optimize our campaigns based on that, which, by the way, is something I didn't list here, but we will also optimize campaigns with the AI agent. It does have the ability to do that by hitting some API endpoints that are pre-connected to it. This is one of the most advanced automations. If you want to see how it works, again, you can drop a comment down below. I'll be happy to record a video on it. And the last thing that this automation does is identify patterns in the campaigns. So it's going to go in the campaigns and try to find what is working, what are the best call to actions, what are the best subject lines, etc. Provide a report to your team so that we can then implement that on the next campaigns that we launch. And this covers the top 6 AI automations that are the top ones in 2025, in our opinion. Again, if you want to see any of these more in depth, drop a comment down below. We'll be happy to record a video on that. And for now, thanks so much for watching, and I'll pass the word back to Michael.
There you have it. Thank you, Felipe. Now, if you want to work with us to implement these same AI strategies into your business to have cold emails that truly convert, make sure to check the description for Grow B2B. There, you can work with us one-on-one to build out your cold email system using the same methodologies we've used to grow our agency to over $1.7 million in revenue. And lastly, make sure to click subscribe. It helps this video be shown to more people, and it also makes sure you're in the loop where we share everything new and upcoming with cold email. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.